Nothing about it is easy, and most of you think already know that, can kind of figure that part out, that it's not easy. Like I shared before on our last episode, that not many people make it out. Not many people make it through living after loss. That in itself, the whole thought can kind of it takes your breath away. And when it actually has happened to you, it takes you even further down a road that is so difficult to travel. You're trying to navigate your thoughts. And if you're not careful, even after you've gotten so far, or a certain amount of time has passed, if you're not careful, you can still lose your way. And I mean, let's be honest. To any parent that's out there, you lose your way, you lose your thoughts, your whole everything is just gone. For me, my thought process, my thoughts within themselves was so, they were jumbled up. That's being nice. That's a better way of putting it. That within that first week, let's just start there. Your first week after the loss of your child, you have so many thoughts going through your head constantly, because you're not having to just say, okay, my son or my daughter is gone. You're having to say, my life has changed. Your hopes and your dreams, with most 99% of our parents, your hopes and your dreams are tied within your kids. And so everything that you had planned for yourself, everything that you had planned for them, everything that you figured they told you they had planned for themselves, it's now gone. So how do you go from that? How do you rebuild? How do you breathe? That part. You have to learn how to breathe again. So I'm gonna take this step by step for many of you out there that listen to this podcast. I want to, and it's a lot of new people, newly bereaved parents, and I want to first let you know that there's no right or wrong way to grieve. There's healthy and unhealthy ways of grieving, and you do whatever helps you. I tell people that all the time. I'm not a master at this. I'm not the spokesperson for this. I can only share with you my experience, and those who will come along that in the future that are going to share their experiences can only share. Our journeys will be different, noticeably different. Um, Breathing, learning how to breathe. For myself, I remember, and my thoughts have been scattered since my son passed away. And well, everything that I thought I knew, everything I thought I was no more. They were gone. But I still had another son that I had to raise that needed me. And for a lot of parents, you have to figure that out as well. And everybody's struggling trying to figure it out. Everybody wants to be there for each other. You want to, your other children or child wants to be there for you. You want to be there for them, but you don't know how to be there for yourself. So oftentimes, and I've said this before, our other children we don't, they're not given the attention that the parent is given, which is unfair in itself. But when you're learning, you're going through and you're figuring it out. And that's what I had to do. That's what me and my son Corey had to do. We had to do our best to figure it out, which is why a good support system is always welcome, and you want to have that great and that good support system to help you along the way. There are times, and there will be times, where breathing is so hard. When Jordarian, when they told me that Jordarian had passed, I remember just standing there. I remember sitting down, and I was just trying to figure out what did the doctor just tell me, and you're trying to you're scrambled. Your mind is scrambled and at a loss, because you're saying that my child is no longer here. And it's okay. So you're numb. You're noticeably numb, and even trying to get through that moment, you're not even realizing that you are breathing. Some people are trying to figure out how you're breathing. Some people are expecting you to just pass out, scream, holler, and for some, you just can't, because you're still trying to figure out what you've just been told, or what you've just witnessed, or what you've just seen. You're just trying to figure it out, and that by far is such a struggle. And I can only, again, speak from my own experience, that first week, if I can dissect it, you're just trying to, you don't even know what breathing is, because you're numb. As I said, I was numb. Let me speak for my own personal self. I was so numb, and all I know is that I needed to stay that way. I needed to stay that way because after, from that day, that next day, you go into making arrangements. And that in itself, you're still trying to figure out, you kind of zoned out. And I'm saying all of this for those that are, especially for those that are newly bereaved, and you're trying to figure out what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. You're figuring it out. And that's okay. There's no script for this. There's no script for it. And I want to be able to help somebody by sharing my experience. When you see that there's something that you've been doing, you say, okay, it's okay. You can get through it. And again, once you go to that next day, you having to do arrangements. You have to figure out, you have to think about the day, and you have to think about colors, and all you know is what your child like, because that's what's on your mind, because you're still wrapped up in that. That's all you can think about is my baby's gone, my son's gone, my daughter's gone, and you hold on to that, because right now you're still numb. And for myself, I wanted to stay numb. I needed to stay as numb as possible. And people, if you checked out my first season of podcast, I have an episode called After the Funeral. So during that first week, you have people in and out constantly. You constantly have people around you that mean well, and they're constantly around you, and so you can kind of be okay, because if you fall weak around somebody, you have somebody to kind of hold you up and pick you up. It's in those moments when everybody leaves, because everybody's life, your world has stopped, and you still have to figure out a way to go forward, and make it through the night, make it through the day, make it through that next breath, because you can only see, breathe, and hear your child, and that by far is a hard thing to do. And you don't even think about the future. You're not even thinking about the future. You all you know is that your right now Your right now, my life is in shambles. Right now, my life is over. Right now, how can I think about going back to work? How can I think about going here, going there, doing this, doing that? You can't. You don't. Because when your child dies, a part of you dies. And that by far it's just there's a permanent hole that becomes in your heart, that's in your soul, that's in your life, that's all you see. And a void is there. A void. And no one can fill it. For those parents who have the unfortunate task, or have had the unfortunate task of burying or losing and having to bury their only child, I can't imagine that. And so, as I said before, in my last episode, our love for our children is unique. So I don't tell people I know what you feel, I know what you're going through. I don't. It's unique. How you loved your child is unique, and how I loved mine was unique. So I understand what you're going through. I understand what you're dealing with. And I think that's more appropriate to say, because if that was their only child, how can you say you know what they feel? Because you don't. You understand what they're dealing with to a degree. And that leads to people saying some of the silliest things. And again, people mean well, but there's just some things you should not say to people, especially parents that has lost their child. You just certain things you don't say. For instance, this one, I think this one is the one that really kind of took me aback a little bit. A young lady lost her son in an accident, and a friend, my cousin, contacted me, and because she's real good friends with the parent, with the mother, and she was asking me what she should do, how should she, what she should say and what she shouldn't or whatever. And she said that someone else was over there at the house, and in that moment, that other person said to that bereaved parent, that grieving mother at that time, I have one you can have. Don't say that. Don't do that. And now I'm at a place now where I can. Don't say that. Let's just leave it at that. Don't tell nobody that, because your child cannot be replaced. No one can to replace that hole, that void that is in that parent's heart. It's in their soul. They still have to go forward, and that certain things stick with you, that like they literally stick in your mind, and certain things that just won't go away. There's certain things people say don't go away, and it's hard to let it go because you're still learning how to breathe, trying to remember how to breathe, and that's way too early on to say that. Now, for bereaved parents, I think one of the things for me was not trying to fill that void. I had to be careful that and remind myself, no matter how many reminders, that there were children that were around me that reminded me of my son. So I had to be careful how I interacted with them, because they have similar qualities. They may in a moment sound like them, or in a distance, look like them or something like that. And you have to be careful with your interaction, because those parents are already somewhat uncomfortable around you, especially if it's early on. They're somewhat uncomfortable around you already, walking on eggshells, feel like they have to walk on eggshells. And so if you're not careful and they don't understand what you're dealing with and what it was like for you at that moment, they pull away. And you're looking around, because some people you expect to see often, and they suddenly stop coming around, and eventually, as time passes, they'll tell you, they may say, let you know why they stop coming by, and then you're not even thinking about it like that, and I didn't realize it until years later, and I was, but in the subconscious of my mind, I had to, pinch myself several times, a lot of times, and just say, hey, that's not Jordarian, that's not little man, as we called him. And even with my oldest son, Corey, they were so different but yet alike, but even with him, I had to be careful, because Corey was the child that he was nonchalant. He was very nonchalant about a lot of things. And so there were certain things I didn't have to worry about with him until his brother passed away. And he took on certain qualities and started doing certain things. And he was working his way and navigating his way through the grief. So again, there's so many different facets of this journey that you will go through, and you can go through. And for me, breathing, and for many parents, breathing and learning how to be able to exhale, because even in the middle of the night, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you've dreamt with a broken heart, and you wake up and you just gasping for air, because even in that, it can take your breath away. It takes your breath away. And for me, I have learned and am learning how, even now, this year in April we'll make 11 years, and I'm still learning how to breathe now. And some people think that you just get over it. You don't get over it. You learn how to live with it. And I'm here to tell everyone that's listening, everyone that's looking now, you don't get over it. You learn how to live with it. There is no getting over it. And that's okay. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not okay. It's okay. Always remember that. If you don't remember nothing else, like I said a few minutes ago, there's certain things that stick with you that people say. I hope this sticks with each and every one of you. And no matter the loss, it doesn't have to be your child. It can be your parent. It can be your spouse, whatever, your grandparent. Hear me. It's okay that you're not okay. No matter when it happens, how it happens, where it happens, it's okay. And so you navigate through this. It's a challenge. It's uphill most of the time. The first wave, you're riding that wave, and you're really just there, and you're praying that God holds your hand, because you don't have the strength to. And so you're trying to figure out, in those moments, you get through that first week. You get through the first week, right? And then you get through that, you start in that second week. And so you're trying to figure it out. Where do I go? What do I do? Do I get up today? Can I get up today? You don't know. You struggle, right? And even in that, it's okay to struggle, because it's a struggle. You're adjusting, and you're trying to figure out how do I go on. For those parents that have to go back to work, I don't know how that goes. For me, it was harder. It was hard for me simply because I hurt my back years ago. So I don't work, and I was stuck in it. Like, I was just sitting there like, what am I to do? And you don't want to just find something. You try to find stuff to kind of keep you busy and keep your mind going. And going back to work for some works. It helps them a lot because you have caring co-workers, right? And so they kind of help you. You have something to look forward to. Like, okay, I have to go to work tomorrow. And I don't know, and I have to get somebody on the show that can share that experience with you of how they got through that and was able to, or started back when they went back to work. Again, I couldn't. I wasn't working, so I didn't work, and I think that's one of the things that made it harder for me, because I didn't even have the life in me to do anything, even if I did have a job at that point. What's work? That means I have to get up. That means I have to focus on something else. And right now, the only thing I can think of right now is my son is gone, my child is gone, and that's where I'm at right now in this moment, And so life after loss in itself is so complicated because you're just stuck trying to figure it out. You're stuck trying to please people. You have some people that will still come around and stick with you through it. And then you have those that'll walk away from you. You have people that will walk away from you. You won't hear from them again. And or if you just happen to see them at somewhere out or whatever. And even then, you don't even care. You really don't. I didn't. I just was trying to get through that moment that I was in. So you get through the first 2 weeks. Okay. Then comes that third week, and you're nearing a month, and you know it in your head. You go, whatever date it is, you go from that date to the next date. Okay, here go a month's time. And I think for me, one of my cousins who had lost a child had contacted me, and I told her, I said, it's been a month. And she was like, you're counting it, aren't you? I don't know nothing else to do. Like, what do you do? How do you not count? How do you not know that? For me, it was the 11th. So every 11th, I looked on the calendar ahead of time then, and it was like, okay, this fall on that day. And you don't plan. It's not that you're planning to feel some type of way. That's what it is, because that's the date that sticks out in your mind. That's the date that's so stuck with you and ingrained in you that that's all you see, because that's all you know. You know that I knew that on the 11th of April, my son died, and that's all I seen. No matter what was going on around me, and I think, I thank God for my family. They had planned a trip, and I didn't want to go. I was not going. I had determined that I wasn't, but I didn't want to take that away from my son that was here, still here, So, well, I can send him. It's like, no, Mom, I want you to go. Son, I really kind of don't want to go. We went back and forth or whatever. So eventually I went on and went. And there was a relief that happened and a release that happened at that time when we went out of town, because I was around family. And I think even though it didn't last the time that I needed to, like You want that moment where you're feeling better, because when you get in that thought, like, okay, it feels like you're reconciled with it. Like, okay, God, I get it. I understand it was for my good, blah, blah, blah. You tell yourself the rhetoric that other people start to tell you. And so you try to buy into it. And it's not that it's not true. It's just not your truth at that moment. Like, for the long haul, I say that it's true for you at that moment, but it's not true for you at the long haul at that time, because you're still early on. And so I think that in itself for me was a defining moment as well, because that was still within 4 or 5, well, at least the first 6 months. We did that. And it's an ongoing thing. You're ever learning, and you want to stay hopeful. The Bible says we don't grieve as if we don't have any hope. And let me be honest. I was so upset with God. You couldn't tell me. Listen, I'm telling you my truth. It's not the truth for everybody. I can only share my truth. That in that moment, I didn't want to hear scripture. Now later on, it became my saving grace. Like it became, I could see a little better and a little clearer, because I think God gives us that time. He allows you that time and those moments to express yourselves. He's not mad at you. He understands. Or whatever it is you believe in. I'm saying God because that's who I believe in. That's me. But he understands it. And that's why I didn't understand why people tell you don't question God. What you mean? I can't question you. And I remember there was a moment where I was so upset with God because I felt like he took my son, and I said, God, you have everything. You have angels, you have heaven, you have streets of gold, you have walls of jasper, you have so much. Why mine? And I remember being so mad I went to sleep. I wanted to go to sleep, and he could have took me right then. I wouldn't have been mad. Like, okay. Because that's what I was hoping for. And because I didn't know what going on was. In that time, you don't care. It's hard to care about what happens next or what you're supposed to do after that. It's hard to care. It's hard to even think about it. And so you're navigating. You're navigating through a maze, and you hit a brick wall every time. So many times you hit a brick wall, and that in itself again is hard. So life after child loss is it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. And again, there's no right or wrong way. There's healthy and unhealthy, and you want to choose as healthy as possible. But whatever you choose, if it helps you get through that moment, go for it. I pray and hope that everyone listening has someone, a support system, a strong support system to help get them through that time. That during that time, those first couple of years they define you. They make or break you. They will make or break you. And even then, I think some people, I've spoken to parents who have, felt like they was in year 4 or 5 and were doing okay. Like they had, moved on to a point in their life where, although everything had changed for them, and they still had moments and times where they would break down and have those grieving moments, they still would find themselves falling into a deep depression and trying to figure out again how to breathe and thinking, how did I get here? And so again, that's their journey, and that's not the truth. That won't be the truth for everybody, but it happens. And I'm sharing that to say that it will happen. You know, you try to figure it. You're trying to figure it out. And again, once, for those who were able and are able to go back to work, and you find some solace in working and finding something to do, great. That's great. I don't knock anyone for that, you know. And so for me, I think that here I am in almost year 11, and I'm grateful for the journey. I can say that I'm grateful for the journey. I'm thankful for the lessons that I'm continuing to learn and the ways that I can help somebody, you know, just by speaking, just by talking about it. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody. I was not willing to do this. Like, I can honestly say I wrestled with God for a long time before this became a thing for me. People tell me that I'm so grateful. Thank you. I couldn't do it. I couldn't either. Trust me when I tell you that. I couldn't either. I'm not a talker in that sense, you know, and I didn't want to be the face for grief. It's depressing. So I'm just like, God, just let me get through it. Let me hit bottom. And he would not let me hit bottom like I wanted to, you know, and because I know for a fact he gave me so many messages and so many things and hints and clues to what 5 years later would look like, what 6 years later would look like. And I didn't want to see him. All I seen and all I knew was that my son was gone and I wanted him back. So, God, you ain't giving him back. I don't want to do this. And that was my thing. I couldn't work, wasn't working. So, you know, God, you mean. That's how, you know, that's how I felt. And giving me the revelation to do this, to start the support group, even especially with that, I'm like, come on, God, my relationship with God is my relationship. Your relationship is going to made to be different. This is not the truth for everybody. I'm just speaking on me. I didn't want to do it. This is not what I seen. I seen myself still grieving my son. I seen myself not doing any of this. But as someone who just going through life, and you say you haven't had a loss this great, and you're just trying to find your purpose. And I'm here to tell you that there is purpose after the pain. It may not be what I'm doing. It could be anything. There is purpose after this. And I can assure you, you can wrestle with it all you want. It's not going anywhere. Trust me when I tell you that. It's not going anywhere. If that's your purpose, whatever it is. And someone told me, if you figure out what your passion is, you'll find your purpose. I'm like, okay. I didn't have any anymore, because everything that I thought I knew, everything that I thought I wanted, died the day my child died. So I'm just like, back to square zero. It wasn't square one, it was square zero, because I was struggling. And you struggle. And even with Corey, I think once he decided what it was he wanted to do, it was a relief, and I could really say I could breathe after that. I could say that Corey gave me the life that I needed to help me keep going. He really did become, and you can judge me on this if you want. But like I said in the beginning, everything that you think all your plans, hopes, and dreams die the day your child dies, right? A part of you dies. And so, but and for those parents who has a child or children left afterwards, you know, you're trying to, everybody's trying to figure out their way. Everybody's trying to navigate it. And with Corey, like I said, he was nonchalant, so it was hard to see what he cared about. But once his brother died, and for him on my side, he became an only child. He lost a significant part of him too, and so his hopes and dreams. He stopped playing sports. He stopped doing a lot of things that he used to like, and so when he decided on something, and at one point I just wanted him to graduate. Like, dude, graduate. If you'll graduate, I'm gonna be okay, But when he decided that he was gonna go to school, like, oh, okay, Corey. But if we get you through graduation, then just graduate for me. But it gave me something to look forward to. And so it took 5 or 6 years later, after his brother passed, that I found some meaning, because I needed him to graduate. I needed him to want to live, and that brought out a fire in me. That put a fire in me that gave me a little bit more hope to say, okay, I have to go on, because now Corey really does need me, and he voiced that in so many different ways without saying, Mama, I need you. He did it differently, and he had to do it a way that he knew he could get through to me. And so life after loss is a challenge, and no matter what, the best part of it, that the best thing I can say to you is don't give up. Just don't give up. I know it's hard. Those nights, those days where you're just trying to get through that day and get through that night without falling apart. And even falling apart, even in that, it's okay, but don't give up. You hold on to what you have left, and that's your memory. If you lost your only child, hold on to that memory. Don't give up. Someone needs you. Someone cares. Someone is praying for you and praying that you make it through. I'm praying that you make it through. I'm rooting for all of us. I'm rooting for every one of us to just get through and to continue to strive. And I pray that you find your purpose. I pray that you find the purpose after that pain and through that pain, because again, you learn to live with it. You learn how to navigate life with it on you. And it's not easy. Again, it's uphill. It is uphill, but you will make it through. You can make it through. I don't make light. I don't want people to think that I'm making light of it or I make light of it. No, ma'am. No, sir. I am not. It is a struggle because you've had to bury your child. And life after loss is different. It's what they call a new normal, whatever that means. I don't even know what normal is anymore. Like, what's normal? Like you talk to yourself and you try to figure out what to do next. And I think they call it grief brain. You forget things. You forget what life was before. You have your memories, but there's so many things that fall away. and so many things that you're trying to remember that you used to like or that you used to do that you no longer like or do anymore. And that's okay. It's okay. You're hurting, and you're trying to figure it out. And I just want to say to you, I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for all of us. I'm praying for all of us to continue to go forward. I know it is hard. It is a struggle, but it's possible. It's possible to continue life after loss. There is no no 5-step program or no 10-step program to get through this type of loss. It's a process that is not easy. It hurts. But if you grieve, if you don't grieve like you don't have hope, remember that you have hope. There is hope. And whatever your thing is, it'll come to you. You'll find it. You'll find it. Even if it's with your other children or with your job or what your hobby, whatever it is, you will find it. You will see the purpose in the pain, or the purpose for the pain. We try to analyze and understand God. And a preacher said, a good friend of mine, he said in a message one time that sometimes knowing God is better than knowing why. And I thought at the time that he said it, that was kind of insensitive, because we're talking about, I'm listening for me. So, but as I went on, as I kept going on and I kept going forward, and when I fall backwards and go to the side and go to the left and go to the right, and I make my way, taking a step forward again, I found that is true. That was true for me in that moment. And again, a lot of times you'll find yourself in certain moments where you feel okay. And you're like, okay, I understand. Okay, I'm good. Yeah. Yada, yada, yada. And you go through. And then that next moment, next 10, 20 minutes, you're back like you were. That's okay. Because eventually you keep going. You don't even know you're still going, but you keep going. And you'll reach that moment again where you'll feel like you're okay. And you're like, okay, yeah, I understand. I miss him. I miss her. But God has a plan. Yada, yada, yada. You tell yourself that. And in that moment, you're going to believe it. And that's fine. It's okay, because that's truth. And when you find yourself falling back again, that's okay too. Just know that everything that you're experiencing is okay after the loss. It's okay. It's okay to question God. It's okay to ask him why. You may not like the answer. He may not give you the answer right then. But it's okay, and he doesn't hold that against you. He doesn't hold it against us. Like, he understands. He knows. It's not like we're taking him by surprise. Right? So he knows. And I just want you to know that it's okay. And you navigate, but hold on to that hope. That hope that you have, hold on to it. And know that, again, I'm here for you. If you ever need me, reach out to me in whatever way you can. All my information is up on the screen now. Follow us on Twitter, Parents Grief 101. You can follow us on YouTube, Life After Child Loss, APG. Facebook. You can go to my personal Facebook page, Angela R. Snowden. Just reach out. And even if it's not me, reach out to someone. Reach out to someone that will listen I will listen to you. I understand. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for us. We're going to get through it. I love you guys. Thank you.